How is everyone doing today? Welcome to my channel, Wild Tangent channel, and um, this is a fairly new feature, number 18, called the Q-tip of the spear. And I feel foolish because yesterday we did episode number 17, and I didn't even make any comms or do anything like that. So here we are back on number 18, and Q-tip of the spear is just a recap of the day's events, not necessarily by relevance, but just by my own musings of whatever it is that I feel like it's important to talk about at this point in time. And I don't really have too much that's important. I think you know it looks like there's a war that's about to start, and again, I have to kind of insist that these events have already happened and that this is a drama that's being played out. And most likely it's going to be played out to kind of put Trump in the best possible light and to just consistently pull the rug out from under the leftists. Um, and they're kind of like Wile E. Coyote. They just, they don't reflect on all of their losses. They just get right back on their horse and just try it again and again and again. And they don't learn from their mistakes. They don't have any, they just slough it off. It's amazing. and So but what I feel like it is it's a test. Um, you know, Trump is saying it's a test for the Iranian people, uh, you know, to take their government uh, after after we take their government out. Now, I'm guessing that that's already happened and that's what's going to happen, but who knows? But I feel like it's a test for the patriots, for the freedom movement. Um, Are some of you going to regress back into your neocon days or regress into your Christian zealot phase and be, you know, um, get into some type of, you know, um, either, to get into the way that Israel does it, you know, just kind of reverse jihad or um, also just neocon. Um, you know, we've got to stand with Israel, and I'm certainly not at this point saying that we need to stand against them, but just that's the test. Are you going to forget about what you've learned over the years and or just go right back into the way that conservatives used to do things, um, at the turn of the century and maybe a little bit before that, and just kind of do Israel's bidding for them. I would imagine that the rug is going to get pulled off of you eventually as well, as soon as the tension between the U.S. and Israel pops up. Now, the drops say saving Israel for last. That's still, rather ambiguous about what it is about. Um, another another drop. It's not even a drop. It's stuff that Trump has said in speeches. I take all these slings and arrows for you. But it just seems like the soft disclosure people are just taking this altogether too seriously. This Epstein op. They think that the they think that the Con Inc. or the leftists are running the op, but they may be running an op, but that they're running an op to dirty up Trump with these files. Um, and I mean, I see it completely the opposite. And I think they do too, but they forget sometimes. Um, but it seems to me like Trump is running the op, using himself as bait. And he's going to take the slings and arrows, and they're going to consent to the searches and even involve themselves in the searches. And it's going to come out that, you know, the vast majority of the people that are guilty are over there. Um, and, I think everybody kind of knows at this point that, if they could have gotten Trump, they would have already gotten him. Um, Now, what's not discussed quite as much, though, is, I feel like in this movement, um, everybody is really focused on the pedophilia, child trafficking aspects of it. But, you know, it's there's kind of a veil there as far as this how all this really works. And, I think most people kind of understand the game of getting people to, y- you know, uh, what's the word? Uh, Basically, when they are caught in something, and so then they have to play ball. They have to do what they're told. They get kind of trapped. I'm totally blanking on the right word there. It begins with the C, but that's part of it. Um, but I really think that this movement would benefit a lot by actually opening up Kathy O'Brien's book, Transformation of America, and her other book, Access Denied for Reasons of National Security. They both basically tell the same story from slightly different points of view or perspectives, or just one's in a narrative form and one is like a testimony form. And um, back when Kathy O'Brien was being abused, almost everybody who was doing it was on the right. It was the entire Reagan administration. And Reagan was in on it. He wasn't up to his neck in it. Um, he was, but his perversions kept him in it, according to the books. And the books are, in my mind, kind of too vivid for them to be, you know, made up. And so this is another area where I think the movement is being very naive. Uh, you know, People are still, selling and giving out Ronald Reagan coins, and you know, some people still even think that some of these other people in the Reagan administration are halfway legit. Um, so, I would crack that book open, um, if I were a truther and I was really wanting to figure out what was going on, because I think there's a huge gap in the information that's being offered by podcasters on that topic. Um, I think there's also underestimating of how important it is, how widespread it is, but also just the occult aspects of it. It's not just, to get Hillary or whatever. Um, you know, that's not going to change the game in terms of the overall info war, but it is going to change the game because she is a high-ranking witch, And so it's kind of an occult blow. It's not necessarily gonna be gonna register with everybody, but that uh, taking her down is like, kind of like capturing the queen, or um, at least a valuable piece. Not so much that she can't just be replaced in terms of her, her you know, her corruption, but her rank, as far as her occult rank is high. Um, so I don't see it as being as irrelevant as some other people do, as far as that goes. Um, these people, they they play by different rules, and things that are important to them aren't necessarily important to us, and vice versa. So it's good to look at those O'Brien books, because I think they really give an insight to the psychology behind these psychopaths. They're, you know, they're they they have a different drummer. They're, it's not really even really their perversions. This is just the way they do it. They're not it even though it's satanic ritual, sexual, pedophilic abuse, it's not really sexual to them. It's it's more about power and control. So I highly recommend those two books. Access Denied for Reasons of National Security, and Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien. There's some other good books on the topic that are also Fritz Springmeier's book, How to Create an Illuminati Mind Controlled Slave, contributes to that same discussion. There's quite a few other ones out there. But anyway, uh, my advice, but that's just me. But thanks for tuning in today. Like, share, subscribe, and comment and contribute. And uh, come back tomorrow for another episode of the Q-tip of the spear. Have a great day.